Welcome to the latest episode of The Chris White Show, a podcast dedicated to helping small to medium-sized business owners and anyone looking to make the entrepreneurial leap. A little about me, your host, Chris White. I'm an entrepreneur based in Brooklyn, New York. I currently own two companies, a boutique digital agency called Sneakers and a staffing and recruiting firm, Rad Hires. Our featured guest this week is a friend that I'm so grateful to have recently reconnected with. Ryan Csolak is a lifelong creative, curious, purpose-driven doer and president of the Ryan James Agency, a full-service creative digital marketing agency. Ryan's experience includes over 25 plus years of creative marketing experience with 10 years at various agencies in the NYC area, along with over 15 years running his own shop, the Ryan James Agency. Ryan and RJA have a focus on creating passionate relationships between companies and their audiences while staying nimble with small shop agility and up-to-the-minute marketing relevance. Ryan's philosophy is creative first because he believes without great creative, you will not achieve great results, no matter what the medium. Ryan's sleeves are permanently rolled up, keeping himself connected, inspired, and constantly learning new things, all the while growing personally and professionally. You can learn more about Ryan and RJA at ryanjamesagency.com, spelled like it sounds, and on social, Ryan James Agency, and Ryan at ryanjamesagency.com. And he's based in Central New Jersey, Princeton area. I really miss Princeton, brother. How are you, man? How are things going out in Jersey?
It's great, Chris. Thanks for having me on. Great to reconnect this past year. We have a history of music and skateboarding that goes further than some may know. So thanks for having me. But it's going great. Princeton, Jersey, tri-state area. You know, we're in the middle of New York and Philly, so there's no lack of work or clients and opportunities. So we're having a good time in here.
That's cool, man. Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know if it's because of the pandemic or I started noticing as I was like certain people on LinkedIn or certain things I was like looking at or doing. I was like, oh, that person's kind of down in the Princeton, Central Jersey area now. And oh, that person's kind of there. There's kind of a hub of, some digital marketing agencies and studios down in that area, like more than I realized, I didn't really know this world till I came up to New York.
Mhm.
And, obviously there's like the mega agencies and small to medium sized agencies here. But as I started to know this world, I was like, oh man, there's really some interesting stuff going on in Jersey, Philly too, some cool creative and marketing shops
Yeah.
in Philly. But I wanted to jump in. I really like starting out with this sort of first question. What's your favorite success quote, and why is it your favorite? And how are you applying it to your everyday life as a business owner?
Yeah, I don't know if it's a success quote. It's more of a mantra quote to do what you say you're going to do. Um,
Love it. Love it.
definitely, various people have said that, but most notably is Jimmy Dean. The guy that used the sausage, but he was also an actor back in the day.
He was a what?
He was also an actor back in the 60s and
Oh,
70s.
okay.
Sausage King. So, that's something I try to live by with work and family life and even personal with, gym or whatever I'm into at the moment.
Yeah.
With hobby wise, but definitely with work. We've swiped a lot of clients and we've won a lot of clients just by doing what we say we are going to do in our pitches and in my conversations. And I
Mm-hmm.
really have been surprised about in talking with new prospects and some peers that they're always running into issues where people are not doing what they said they were going to do. So I think that's something we can lean on. And I've always done that my entire life. It's not kind of a new thing for me. Um, I think that's something that has really driven me and driven me in the business and in my personal life. So yeah, do what you say you're going to do.
That's
Period.
great, man. Yeah, I've seen some businesses. Sometimes I'm like, how are you still in business? Like, it's just sometimes it's just I don't know if it's just some businesses have just maybe they're just so good at getting leads that they can just churn clients at will. But
Yeah, that's it.
I'm
That's gonna come up in our conversation, I think, as we move forward about services and how you need to
Mhm.
be working these days. I think there's a lot
Yeah.
of churn from other agencies and other businesses because they're just not doing what they say they're going to do, but they also don't have services that these clients need these days.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, a lot's been changing with digital marketing.
absolutely.
Uh, what's a big failure for you that that you've had personally in your business career? What led up to that situation? What actions did you take because of it? And how did you sort of rise above that? How did that make you a better business person today, would you say?
Yeah, there's so many failures, and I think successful business is built on failures. All the cliches of like you're not failing, you're learning. I do truly
Mm,
believe that, but there has been a few missteps personally that I take full accountability for, and that's expecting close friends and friendships to translate into proper business relationships and partnerships.
mm,
And I think that's
mm,
where I had failed myself and my friend and my business of being probably too lackadaisical about that whole situation and understanding and not understanding that not everyone's cut out to be an entrepreneur or even a business partner or even in client service. So some of the
mm-hmm,
failures, and one of the big ones was a failed partnership and a failed friendship because of it. So I feel like that is really the top of the heap, and that's something I try to never forget moving forward about how that went down and how I had to pick myself and my business back up and pretty much rebuild and actually learn some of the services that said partner was doing in terms of some of the technical things I had to take on being a
mm,
person, doing some of the coding and the tech, and being more in front of the clients, more client service. So learning how to deal with the more weight on my shoulders and moving forward
yep.
to keep growing. So yeah,
Yeah, I
good.
feel. Yeah, it's fine. I was talking to another guy on an episode about that, sort of model, or it seems like it works well sometimes where somebody's on the business development side, because lead generation, right? I mean, that's a lot of work. I mean, that is a
Yeah,
full-time job in and
yes.
of itself, just getting new clients all the time. And then, being able to deliver the work is also a full-time job, so when you're just starting out, it is a lot of work. And I always feel like that's the dream, to have sort of that split initially where one person can handle all the new business and
Hmm.
one person can handle the delivery. Um, was it a situation where, like, that person wasn't really, they weren't really maybe as cut out for like the life of an entrepreneur as you thought they were? Like sort of, where was the disconnect, would you say?
Yeah, I think there was a disconnect in the communication of what we were both expecting and what we had both wanted to get out of the partnership. First and foremost,
Mm,
I think the person was capable of being probably a pretty solid entrepreneur, but I, you know, put a lot of the weight on me about not expressing what I expected out of a relationship and just kind of rolling into it as friends. And this is going to be great, and we're going to have this big agency without laying anything
right,
down. We're just
right,
kind of
right,
like
right.
flying by the seat of our pants. 18 years ago now, 17 years ago, and we're young,
Yep.
and we both lead agencies, and let's do it, man. Let's go, bro. And it was tough. We lasted 2 or 3 years together, and when things got
Okay.
real with the agency and we were growing, then that's when things got real between us. So
Oh, okay.
I'll take a lot of the blame of like, not expressing what I would expect, and just kind of
Hmm.
rolling along and letting things happen without, really stepping in and trying to make it work. So yeah, that,
Yeah.
that was a big mistake. That was a failure on my part. That's why I see it as a failure, um, because I think some things could have been done on both sides that could have probably solved the issues or not. But
Mm,
it was just kind of a
hmm.
thing. We were rolling along, and the train was moving, and it wasn't going to stop. So, yeah,
Yeah, man.
it
Yeah.
was not a situation, not something I expected or had wanted to be in, but that's the way it goes. I think every entrepreneur has those stories. Like, didn't expect that, but here we are.
Yeah, man. Oh man. Oh man. What has there been a moment in your business where things started to click for you? I call it one of these eureka moments. It could have been while you had a partner, or after. Doesn't necessarily have to be tied to that per se. Was there just something that you felt dialed in your services and the types of clients you were targeting, and you were like, I'm just going to go all in on this as hard as I can?
Yeah, most definitely. I think there was a time where, I was doing a lot of the creative work and a lot of the client service when we had the partnership going, and I wasn't doing the tech as I was mentioning in terms of the rollout of web and HTML and things like that on the tech side app, some app development. But I always had an inkling, that businesses, small to medium, even large, they need fully integrated services, and I think that the way the way we were and are still putting ourselves into the world. We are a creative first agency that has to be experts in whatever the end medium is. Right now, it's a bunch of digital marketing. It's whatever we're going to roll out. We have to be experts in that. Now it's going to be AI work. So I feel like my big aha moment was fully understanding that these prospective clients, when we go in, they don't just want creative consultation and you walk out, and they don't just want a media consultation and you walk out and maybe do the media work. They want it. Here's our strategy, concepts creative, and here's where we're going to roll out. Here's how we're going to do it. It's all in house, and we'll get the videos done. We'll get the digital marketing done. We have uh, AdWords experts that are really going to work on your targeting. We have Facebook ad experts really going to work on your targeting, and we can do it all here. Uh, so that's really won us a lot of business. And
Hmm.
I've seen a lot of clients come to me where like, well, we have you're working with this digital marketing firm, and we're spending all this money on Google and Facebook, but we haven't seen an ad. We don't know what they look like. They say they're running
Wow.
ads. Yeah, and that's the firm that's forming an ad out somewhere and getting creative back that might be mediocre. They're not showing
Uh-huh.
clients because they don't push creative as their services, and they're spending all
Uh-huh.
this money on clicks with no returns. There's no
Wow.
conversion on the end. So
Wow.
that's kind of where I came from. I was on the creative side of my previous agency life, so I always had that inkling that I wanted to be fully integrated with services, and that kind of got a little wonky when I split with my business partner, but I had to regroup and figure out how I can handle both. Not full on all the work, but how can I pitch both services as me, and then have that rolled out behind me.
So when you say fully integrated, can you help my listeners understand what that means? I mean, I'm not from the ad agency world. I'm more from the digital product agency side of things. So
Mhm.
I always have had a general understanding of what like fully integrated means,
Yeah,
but I also feel like it's one of these industry terms, within
most
the world of
definitely.
marketing.
Yeah.
What does that really mean to you? Like when you say to a client, like we have a fully integrated service. What does that mean? Like
Yeah, I would
when the
say
rubber
that
meets the road.
the client's got to understand that whatever they need to have done, we're going to get done. So uh,
For any medium, like any
any
marketing.
medium, and say you're a medium-sized business, your honeymoon phase is over, and you want to start working with an agency, and you don't know where to start. And say, well, do I need to get someone to do my print, TV, and radio? Do I need someone to do just my I want to name a new part of my business something different. I want to get it branded. And then how am I going to
Mm,
roll that out to show it to the masses through Google, Facebook, and,
okay.
YouTube ads? So anything that you might need to do in terms of a marketing plan, marketing strategy, we're going to start from the top level strategy, do all the
Mm,
creative work, which is your physical ads. How are things going to look, sound, and feel? We're going to work on the strategies for your media placements. Who are these ads going to be in front of, in layman's terms? And we're going to roll that out with a budget. So your core customer is going to see the ad that we create for your business.
so it's sort of really looking at it like holistically, almost as
Absolutely.
like
That's the word for it.
go to market. Depending on your type of, I mean, you might actually billboards might be good for your company, or but whatever, you're crafting a strategy for their business that's going to work for their business, that's modeled for their business.
Absolutely.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And if it's something that we can't do in house, we have partners that can get things done and we still handle it. So our clients usually
Hmm.
know that we're outsourcing.
Yeah,
So
gotcha. Okay. But at least it's all going through you as like the hub, the strategy side. You're defining, everything's synced up, everything's getting rolled out the way it needs to get rolled out.
yeah, and I guess that goes back to the eureka moment of like, I understood that these clients needed more of a partnership than an agency. They
I
need to
see.
feel like someone's like with them, they're on their side, almost like we're, an
You're
onboarded
almost like part of their
employee.
company. You're
Yeah,
almost like
yeah,
their.
that's where that whole fully integrated thing comes from. I think for me, it's more of a partnership, and I use that term a lot when I talk to my clients. It's all over my website. Our clients are partners, and we are partners with our clients. Not in the
Mm-hmm.
sense of like we're in business together, but we really are. We want to make them money, makes them happy, and we get to do the work we want to do. So
Mm-hmm.
it is a partnership.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That's cool, man. That's cool. Um, Before we jump into some other areas of like digital marketing, what do you do consistently, daily that you feel sets you apart, that makes you successful, that's been, attributable to your longevity as an entrepreneur?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I've been thinking about this. I think it's the ability to not make excuses. I think that's something that
Hmm.
goes back to do what you say you're going to
Love
do.
that.
It's kind of the extension of that, okay, well, if I made a misstep, I'm going to say that was my fault. I made that decision. Here's how we're going to fix it, or here's how we're going to talk about fixing it. And I think, that has
Mm-hmm.
saved hours of heartache from a new business perspective, hours of heartache from maybe losing a client, maybe not, and just really holding ourselves accountable. I think that's something a lot of people are throwing blame around. Oh no, it's just this audience. It's the time of year. It's no, it's what you chose to do, and if it
Mm-hmm.
didn't work, we need to figure out how we can make it work. And, maybe you can,
Mm-hmm.
maybe you can't. But I think that's part of the conversation that a lot of people aren't having in the business world. Everyone wants to throw blame around and not really take accountability for their work.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when it's winning Webby Awards and it's winning Clio Awards, of course everyone say, yeah, that was us, we did that. When things aren't working, hey, maybe maybe your account executive wanted to target someone else. Well, okay, well,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
should have said no if you were the expert. So I think that certainly accountability, in
Yeah.
short. So yeah.
That's great. That's great, man. And going back to, like, let's dig into digital marketing a little bit, because there's another one of these words that, again, when I first came to New York and started seeing, working with some agencies and stuff, I would, hear this word creative, thrown around. And I was like, what is this thing creative that they're always, it's such a interesting way to use the word, right?
Yeah.
um can you help our listeners like understand, like, within the digital world of digital marketing, what is creative, and also why is it important for a small business, even like a small to medium sized business, to really focus on their creative and their strategy around that?
Yeah, that's another great question. Term creative, you use it as a description of a person. I like to use it as kind of like a service or an actual thing you're doing. So in the
Mm-hmm.
digital marketing world and even in the advertising world, back to the Mad Men days, you got this Don Draper standing there in front of a board. He flips open the front and it's an ad for Marlboro cigarettes or something. That's a piece of creative, if you will. So I think
Mm-hmm.
that the term creative has many meanings in this world, but I think the way I see it and the way it's being used in digital marketing, it's the actual piece of art that you're seeing before it's being sent out to the masses in terms of being an ad. What's the creative
Mm.
for the ad? What's the concept? Um,
Okay. Okay.
so when I watch a Super Bowl commercial, and my family laughs, I say, "Oh, that's a great piece of creative." That's and what you talking about. Like, I know that's a great commercial.
It's exactly that's exactly my point. It's right. It's just like it's such an interesting expression. I don't know. It's just, you hear the word create, like nobody outside of the ad industry would use that word that way.
No,
You know what I mean? You know what I
yeah,
mean?
I mean, rightfully so. It makes no sense.
Yeah.
So you know, so I think that with that, it's extremely important for I think all sizes of business to have great creative, and that's where that term comes out for me in my business, and where we really lean on our strengths, being really strong in our strategies and our creative work, because
Mm-hmm.
you said it in the intro. If you don't have great creative, you're not going to have great results. I don't care if you spend $1 million on your ad, and
Mm.
throw it up on Google, social, Facebook, YouTube, throw it on
Mm.
primetime TV for sports. You're not going to see results. And I've
Yeah.
experienced that. We've done some A/B tests, and I've been in the industry for 25 years. I've done great ads and I've done terrible ads. I'll be honest about that. And
Mm-hmm.
those results, they prove just what I'm talking about. Bad
Yeah.
result for bad creative, good results for great creative. So it's really important. You really have to get your message, your brand, your mission out there in a fun, creative way, especially now because there's uh, so many impressions that we're all getting every day, whether it's
Mm.
your friends' social media, and I mean, my social media, maybe because I'm in advertising, but my Instagram is probably 90% brands versus
Mm,
friends and family, and that's just what the
yeah.
algorithm picked up on. So I think that I don't think I'm the only one seeing that. I mean, I have so many new shirts and pairs of sneakers I bought from some Instagram brand that really don't fit well, but I got the ad. It was a good piece of creative, so I click and buy it. So that's it right there. I mean, that's the cycle.
I Yeah, it's funny. I've been in New York about 13, going on 14 years. And, I mean, when you're driving around or, you listen to the radio, you see billboards and stuff like that when live in the burbs. And when you come to New York, you're on the subway and there's
Yeah,
subway ads, right? Like they're in every subway car. Like as you're holding onto the rail, you're looking at subway ads. And man, you want a lesson on creative? Like go read subway ads.
yeah, I
Like I
agree.
almost feel like I almost feel like it should be like, and I don't even come from this industry, but I almost feel like it should be a required segment of school to go study subway ads and like write subway ads because you've got to be freaking good at creative.
Yeah,
But I've literally laughed out loud on the subway at like some really good copy and like creative, like no joke. Like I sometimes I've been like, that's really good. Like that person knows whoever that creative and that copywriter or that team, like they knew what they were doing. Like that is brilliant, like sometimes when you just see it come together, you're like, wow, that is magical. But yeah, man, I always think about that. I'm like, man, this should be like required for advertising school to come make subway ads
yeah.
because
I feel like I was in the last class of school that was still studying that kind of thing, and I have a bunch of books that were like the old print ads and like things like that. And even when I go to New York for business, I'm on the train on the Northeast Corridor in New Jersey, and those posters are awesome still,
yeah,
and it's a
yep,
lost art, I think, and not many people are looking at them because their heads are on their phones, but there's a lot of good messages, a lot of good creative still out in the world. And I think billboards
mm-hmm.
are actually kind of pseudo making a comeback with, being more
Oh really?
digital and doing some
Right.
cool 3D things. But it's still about like, that funny message. And, I think it kind of goes back to some of the Instagram and some of the digital is helping people be more creative out in the actual ad world with all these meme
Hmm.
guys,
Okay.
Sinatras and the guys that are funny with things. That's becoming, kind of the norm of how brands are starting to work with these influencers. I'm not really giving them a script anymore or giving them too much of a product. They're like, use your messaging in your meme
Hmm.
making to make our brand funny. People might
Yep.
not know it's an ad. So I think that's kind of trickling into like, okay, well, this billboard's got to be kind of funny and quirky, you know.
Yeah.
Uh, I
Oh
mean,
man, and then like you see it, right? There's certain things where you see like, oh my God, this subway ad is so busy. There's so many words. Like I can't
yeah,
read all that. And then when I go back home now and I'm driving around, I'll see a billboard with like 5 big words on it. And I'm like, oh,
yeah,
that's brilliant. And then I'll see some other billboard with like all like little font, like little words. I'm like, did
it's tough.
anybody really like look at this and say like people are driving in their cars at
Yeah,
60 miles an hour and they've got what like 2 seconds to consume what's on your
maybe,
billboard, like
exactly.
maybe
Yeah,
like it's some of this stuff like I'm like, wow, like who's even reviewing some of these things? Somebody's spending money on this stuff. Like there's no way I could consume all the information on this
no,
billboard.
and
I
that's
don't know. I don't know if I'm
yeah.
crazy, but stuff like
No, no.
that
I mean, I
sometimes.
see it too, and it's really it's painstaking for me if I'm going to if I'm driving up the turnpike to New York and there's 55 billboards on the way there, and nine of them are like what you're saying, small type, some big picture, a small type, small logo, no idea what it meant.
Yeah.
Wasted
Yeah.
30,000 gone.
Yeah. It's wild.
Yeah,
It's
it's
wild.
crazy. It's crazy. So that
um,
the importance of good creative really goes a long way
yep.
in every medium.
Yeah. Yeah, man. No, it's true. What I've been talking I'm not like an AI nut, but I'm a technology guy and I
Yeah,
use a lot of different tools and I am not a creative. I'm an engineer. I cannot make cool looking stuff to save my life. So I rely on some tools like Canva and stuff like that once in a while. And, I recently saw Canva launch this thing called Magic Studio. And so, where's that going for you in your industry and creatives? Like what does it mean for you in the industry when you see companies like Canva
Yeah.
launching tools that probably actually would be pretty helpful to somebody like me, where like sometimes I don't even know where to start, you know?
Yeah, I think that's first, it's hard for me to believe that you don't think you're creative because growing up in high school and with the music and skating and art, if someone was going to ask me who was probably one of the most influential creative people in your high school, I would certainly say Chris White,
Oh
um,
man, I
and your
appreciate that.
brother, being
Yeah.
amazing drummer.
Yeah.
So I think you are creative. So I think you should give yourself. But AI, I think it's going to be a great future. I think there's a lot of people that feel like they're on edge, a little
Hmm.
nervous about the job thing. I think it's going to create jobs. I think it's going
Cool.
to push creative boundaries. It's going to push technical boundaries.
Hmm.
I believe that you're not just going to plug and play and use what AI gives you. I think if you're a good business person, a strong entrepreneur, a smart person, a strong creative, you're going to use that as kind of like the base of the cake, right? So,
Okay.
and then you're going to sprinkle your own brand client work on top. You're going to sprinkle your own voice in that copy. You're going to put your own signature style of art on that piece of art that it spits out for you. So I think it's going
Mhm.
to enhance. It's going to expand our human ideas. It's going to expand our human reach, which is going to expand into the marketing world, which I think it's great. Really, I use it. I use ChatGPT a lot. Um, for a lot of writing, and
Okay.
so our team, I haven't let anybody go because of it. They just use it, and we
Yep.
don't use it verbatim. Number one, because it's probably stealing a lot of content. Number two, because we want to do better work than what this AI bot is spitting out.
Yeah.
So we use it as like the base of the cake. Um,
Hmm.
and
I
I
like
think
that,
what's
Scott. I
really
like that.
gonna, yeah, what's really gonna for my industry, I think I don't know how to say this, but I think AI is going to help us target people with more personalized ads better when we can figure out how to use this in our ad targeting
Mm-hmm.
and our audience segmentation.
Yeah.
I
I
think
think it's got a bit of a power to be. I never thought of it this way, but the things you're saying are inspiring me. I don't know if equalizer is the right word.
mm,
I think it's hard. It's hard when you have a small to medium sized business, right, to do marketing. I mean, we're going to get into this in a second, right? But it takes money to do marketing. It takes money to do good marketing, and the advantage that the big companies have is they've got a lot of money to spend on a lot of marketing and pay a lot of good creatives and a lot of great people to do amazing marketing. So I feel as though it's going to I don't. It won't. It's not going to be like a full equalizer, but I think it is going to be something that's going to up the game for people who have a small to medium sized business and help them elevate the types of marketing that they can do. Does that make sense?
absolutely. I wholeheartedly agree, and I see with some of my clients have been fooling around with it. Doesn't
Hmm.
make me nervous. I encourage them to like, yeah, go fool around with it, see what you come up with. You want to write a blog post and you need some help, start with ChatGPT. And I
That's
don't think
cool.
anyone's diving in as much as we are with like things, that are tied to Canva and some of the more video processing and some of the web
Hmm.
builders that are starting to pop out,
Yep.
which I keep meaning to sign up for one of those so I can see how these things build websites on the
Yeah.
fly. That's
Yeah.
that's that's where it gets a little crazy. Um,
I saw it
because
a couple years ago. My wife needed a website for something, and I was poking around, and I went on Wix, and I'd never even used Wix. And I was like,
Wix,
"Oh, what's Wix?" And then it basically put me through a chat bot. It asked me some questions, and then
ah,
it spit out a website.
yeah,
This was a couple years ago, actually. Like I feel like they were actually a little bit ahead of their time. And I said, "Whoa, that was pretty trippy."
yeah,
Like literally, I was like talking to this sort of bot, and then it picked the template, like put the features in. I said, "Whoa, that was pretty wild." You know,
yeah.
um,
That's some hardcore AI right there when it's writing code like that and it's on the fly.
yeah.
So I mean, the sky's the limit, obviously with this stuff, and I think we're at the beginning.
Hmm.
I think it's an enhancement. I don't think it's a
A
detriment.
replacement. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't
That's
think it's a
great, man. I love it. I love it. Yeah, I've always said like you've got to embrace change. You've got to, you know, I'm an engineer slash computer scientist, right? So
Mhm.
I always tell people you're never going to stop engineers and computer scientists from wanting to make cool stuff or make
Yeah,
stuff that's more efficient, make it easier to do stuff. I tell them, look, engineers and computer scientists are lazy. They actually write code to do stuff so they don't have to do it again. Like, like, so think about that. Like, as
good.
a basic premise, remind yourself, like, good computer scientists and engineers, they're actually lazy. Like, they don't want to do it manually. That's why they took all this time to find a way to get a computer to do it. And they're
Yeah,
never going to stop doing that. So you either embrace this and run with it, or you just kind of throw in the towel and give up, or you maybe find an industry where it's not going to apply, you know, like being a plumber, like, probably be a while before we have robot plumbers,
yeah.
you know, but otherwise, like, you got to get on the train, because it left the station,
Indeed. No,
you
I
know?
agree. I mean,
So,
you could fight all you want, and you could say, those darn kids," but
yeah,
no,
right,
they're coming.
right,
It's here.
right.
It's here. You
Yeah.
have to embrace it. Absolutely.
I wanted to end on what I feel is an important topic, which is around money, budgeting, and digital marketing. You work with some big brands. And so, what what are some general rules of the road that you could help our listeners understand, for somebody who doesn't even have a business, but they maybe it's the kind of business where they know they're probably going to need to do, like, spend money to advertise when they go to market, or they're at a pivotal moment where they feel things are working and they want to spend more on advertising and to get more customers. How much of a company's revenue, like, percentage wise, is a good benchmark, in terms of what they should spend on their revenue? So, let me put that a little more clearly. If my business brings in $1 million in revenue, not profit, revenue, a year, right? How much of that should I be spending, like, per month on, marketing? Like, just like, if I was going to hire a company like yours, right, fully integrated, how much of that should I say, okay, I need to devote this much per month for my fully integrated digital marketing agency? And I guess that would include money to run, like, advertisements as well.
Yeah,
Like,
I
how
would.
do you help people understand that?
Yeah, that's a great question, and that's a question that I'm asked pretty much at the pitch level, even before I think we're being considered to be hired. I think it's something on everyone's mind.
Mm,
Um,
hmm.
it's very variable right now, but I would say, you're going to have $1 million in revenue. You need to be spending over $10,000 a month in marketing.
Okay.
I would say that's media dollars. That's your media dollars. So you're looking at, a little over 1% on media dollars.
Okay.
So I think that's where, that's the age old 1 to 2% of your revenue. But the way that
But then
media,
all in, but that's just on the media. That's
it's
just
just on the
on.
media, yeah. And
Okay.
I don't have a model where I take a percentage of the media dollars for my fee. I have a separate fee, um,
Okay.
based on the scope of work.
Hmm.
Um, I don't think many people are doing the media dollar uh, fee
Model.
model anymore, based on
Hmm.
it's really hard to track, and when spending money on influencers and things like that, it's not you're buying you're not buying $100,000 in New York Times ads anymore.
Right.
So it really depends on what you are
Where you
prospecting,
want to be.
what you want to make exactly. So where you want to be, and then building the budgets off of that, we back into our numbers based on what X client might want to be making, where they see this product going, what they think they're
Mm.
going to make. It's not just out of thin air. We have all the numbers with our clients. We work with them on trying to understand, what's the cost, what's their break even, what's their profit. Okay, how many do you think you're going to sell this year?
Mhm.
How many leads are you going to get? What's that cost per lead? So we back all those numbers into the budget. It's a pretty complicated process, but I would say of the revenue that you want to make or you are making, I would look at 2 to 5%.
Okay. That's like baseline, or that, like, you
That's
should at
baseline.
least.
That's probably
Okay.
baseline. That that's where I would start, and that's all in with your media and my fee, for the agency
Hmm.
fee. Um,
Yeah.
I have some people that spend 10 to 15, but I
Okay.
think they're more aggressive. They're way larger. But
Hmm.
if you're a startup or you're a small business that had never worked with an agency before, and your honeymoon phase of word of mouth is over, and it's time to really hit the ground running, you'd want to look at probably 2 to 5% of what you've made the past 2 to 3 years into
Hmm.
into your marketing plan.
That's great. That's brilliant, man. Well,
Yeah,
Ryan, I've had a blast. It's
thank
been
you.
such a pleasure to reconnect, man. You're schooling me on digital marketing. I know our listeners are going to learn a lot. Again, you can feel free to reach out to Ryan at ryanjamesagency.com. And I'm hoping to reconnect with you soon, brother. If you're ever coming up to New York, let me know. I'm hoping to come down to NJ again before the end of the year. So we'll have to reconnect. All
Yep.
right.
Thank you so much. Been a pleasure, man.
My pleasure, man. Thank you.